How did one small joke end with a stranger handing me divorce papers in my office lobby while my coworkers watched? Why did he leave in 5 minutes like I was nothing, then answer me with laws instead of fights? Can I still call him the villain when the papers list my own posts, my own messages, and dates I tried to erase? My name is Araminta Doyle, but most people call me Minty. I was 34, and I worked as an office coordinator for a property company. I liked being the one who knew everything first. I liked being the one who had the keys, the lists, the contacts, the small power that made others wait. At home, I wanted the same feeling. I wanted my husband, Ethan, to look at me like I was the prize. That night started like a win for me. Cassidy had invited us to a rooftop bar downtown. She said it was a reset night. I agreed because I wanted photos and noise and a crowd that listened. Ethan did not love those places. He got tired fast. He stood near the edge and watched people like he was counting exits. In the car, he asked if we had to stay late. I said it was one night and he could handle it. He asked why I sounded annoyed already. I said he always made everything feel heavy. He went quiet. I told myself it was his way to control me. I told myself I had to be stronger. At the bar, the music was loud. Cassidy hugged me and told me I looked amazing. I leaned into her like a sister, even though she was the one who pushed me into trouble often. She asked if Ethan was still acting sensitive. I said he was still doing his quiet thing. She rolled her eyes and said I deserved a man with fire. I smiled because I liked hearing that. Ethan brought me a drink and asked if I was okay. I said I was fine, and he should stop checking on me like I was a child. He nodded and stepped back. I watched him and felt a strange itch, like I wanted him to react. I wanted him to prove he cared in a way people could see. A small group formed near our table. People started talking about marriage, money, and real love. Someone joked that partners should be lucky to be chosen. Cassidy laughed and asked if Ethan knew how lucky he was. Ethan looked at her and asked what she meant. She said she was just teasing. He turned to me and asked if we could leave soon because he had an early start. I felt embarrassed that he said it in front of them. I could have said yes. I could have been kind, but I wanted to show everyone that I was the one in charge. I wanted to show Ethan too. I leaned back and made my face calm, like I was above him. He asked again if we could go. I said he always tried to ruin my fun. He asked why I was making it a fight. I said he was making it a fight by acting weak. Someone mentioned how some men threaten to leave, then never leave. Cassidy nudged my arm and gave me that look like she wanted a performance. I felt heat in my chest. I heard myself speak before I even decided. Ethan looked at me, waiting. I said, in a joking tone, that he was not man enough to leave me anyway, so everyone should relax. The group laughed. A few people clapped like I had told a good story. I saw Ethan's face change, but it was not anger. It was something flatter. He asked if I really meant that. I said it was a joke and he was too sensitive. He asked why I needed to say it in public. I said it was normal teasing and he needed to stop acting like a victim. For a moment, I expected him to get loud. I expected him to argue and prove my point, so I could lean back and look calm. But he did not do that. He took a slow breath. He looked at the table, then at the group, like he was seeing them clearly for the first time. He nodded once. He asked if I was done. I said I was just starting to have fun. He did not answer. He set his drink down. He reached for his coat without rushing. He nodded to Cassidy and the others, like a polite stranger. Someone asked if he was leaving for real. He did not reply to them. He looked at me and asked if I wanted a ride home. I said I did not need him. He nodded again, then walked away. I watched him go through the crowd. I waited for him to turn back. He did not. The elevator doors closed and he was gone in less than 5 minutes. That was the part that hit me. Not the leaving, the speed, like he had been ready. Cassidy laughed and said he was doing drama. A man at the table said Ethan was soft. I smiled too, but my smile felt thin. I told them he would cool off and come back. I told them he was just trying to scare me. I said it was funny how men think silence is power. Inside, my stomach twisted. Later, in the rideshare, Cassidy asked if I was okay. I said I was fine, and Ethan was the one with problems. She asked if he had ever tried to control me. I said yes, in small ways, like wanting early nights and quiet weekends. I made it sound like a cage. That was easy because I had practiced that story in my head. When I got home, the kitchen light was on, but the house felt empty. Ethan's shoes were not by the mat. I checked the garage. His car was there, pointed toward the street like he had backed in on purpose. I walked inside and saw the guest room door shut. I knocked once and asked what he was doing. He opened the door only halfway. He asked me to keep my voice down because the kids were asleep. I said he was being cold and childish. He asked if I understood what I did. I said I did nothing, and he embarrassed me by leaving. He asked if I was sorry. I said he should be sorry for making me look like the bad guy in front of my friends. He did not argue. That made me more angry. I needed a fight to prove I was right. I stepped closer and told him he was punishing me. He said he was not punishing me, he was protecting his peace. I laughed and told him peace was what weak people called quitting. His phone lit up on the desk behind him. I saw a calendar reminder flash for a second. It showed a place name and a time, something like downtown and a late morning slot. He turned the screen down fast, like a habit. I asked what it was. He said it was a personal meeting. I asked if he was hiding something. He said he was organizing his life. That word bothered me. Organizing. It sounded like boxes and lists and decisions. I told him he was being dramatic again. He asked me to sleep in our room. I said I would, because I was not the one who did something wrong. He nodded like he was agreeing, but his eyes did not follow me. In our bedroom, I looked at the bed and felt a strange fear. I told myself he would come back after one night. I told myself he could not leave because he needed me. I told myself my joke was not cruel, it was honest. I still think I was right to push him. I told myself a real man would fight for his wife. But the house stayed quiet. I heard a small click from the guest room, like a drawer locking. I lay in bed and stared at the ceiling, waiting for a message, waiting for footsteps, waiting for him to need me again. He did not. In the morning, I woke up and checked my phone before I even sat up. No message from Ethan. No, we need to talk. No angry paragraph. Nothing. It felt wrong, like a room with the lights off when you know someone is inside. I walked to the kitchen and opened cabinets too hard, making noise on purpose. I wanted him to hear me. I wanted him to come out and say something. There were 2 mugs on the counter, but only one was used. His was clean and dry, sitting apart like a quiet line drawn between us. I told myself he was doing it to punish me. I tapped on the guest room door and asked if he was coming to breakfast. He opened it a little and looked tired but calm. He asked what time I was leaving for work. I said my usual time. He asked if I could keep my voice low again. I said he was acting like I was the problem in my own house. He did not raise his voice. He said the kids were sleeping and he would handle school. I said he was trying to make me look bad as a mother. He said he was only making sure the kids had a normal morning. That word, normal, made me angry. Normal sounded like he was already picturing life without me. I told him he was overreacting and he would regret it. He said he was not making threats. He said he needed space and respect. I laughed and asked when he started speaking like a therapist. I went to work with my head full of noise. The open plan office always had its own rhythm. Printers, ringing phones, small talks that sounded friendly, but were really tests. I liked being part of it. I liked feeling seen. If Ethan was going to act cold, I could still be warm somewhere else. Cassidy had already posted a photo from the rooftop bar. In it, I was smiling with my chin tilted up. Ethan was not in the frame. The caption said something like, "Girls' Night Energy," even though Ethan had been there. I reposted it and added a line about choosing peace over drama. I didn't name him, but I wanted people to know. 2 co-workers asked if I had fun last night. I said yes, but my husband had a moment like he always did. One of them asked what I meant. I said he was sensitive and liked to control the schedule. I said he left early to make a point. They nodded like they understood. I felt a small relief. If they believed me, the story was safe. Around mid-morning, my manager, Dean, walked past my desk slower than usual. He asked if I had a minute later. I said yes, and asked what it was about. He said we would talk in HR. That made my stomach drop, but I kept my face calm. I asked if there was a problem. He said it was just a quick conversation. I opened my email and tried to focus on tasks, vendor requests, tenant notes, meeting reminders. But my thoughts kept sliding back to Ethan's silence. I sent him a text that said he needed to stop acting like a child and come back to our bed. I waited, no reply. Logan messaged me around lunch. He asked if I was okay and said he saw my story. I told him Ethan was being dramatic and trying to embarrass me. Logan said I deserved better than someone who made me feel small. That line landed exactly where it always did. It felt like a hand under my chin, lifting my face. I told myself Logan was only being supportive. I told myself it was harmless to talk. It was not like I was doing anything wrong. That is what I always told myself. I said I just needed someone who understood. Logan said he understood completely. When I got called into HR, I walked in like I owned the floor. The HR room was bright and too quiet. Dean sat beside Marisol from HR. Marisol asked how things were at home. I blinked, because that felt personal. I asked why she was asking. She said there had been concerns about workplace boundaries and public posts connected to staff and vendors. I kept my posture straight. I asked what posts. Marisol said a few co-workers had shown her stories where I implied I was dealing with control and drama, and that names were being guessed. She said there were also messages on a vendor thread where my tone seemed heated, and someone felt uncomfortable. I realized how fast the story had moved from my phone to the office. I said people were too sensitive and it was my private life. Dean said private life can still affect the workplace. Marisol asked if I felt safe at home. That question made me angry because it framed Ethan in a way I could use, but it also made me feel exposed. I said Ethan never hurt me. I said he was just moody, and I was venting like anyone. Marisol told me to avoid posting about personal conflict in a way that could connect to work. She asked me to keep vendor contact professional. She said it wasn't a punishment, but it was a warning. A warning. That word stuck like a burr. I left the room and walked back to my desk, smiling too hard at people as I passed. Cassidy sent me a meme about men who can't take jokes. I laughed in the chat and told her it was exactly Ethan. But my hands were shaking. I didn't like being called into HR. I didn't like being told to stop. It felt like losing control. That evening, I went to the gym instead of going straight home. I told Ethan I had to work late. I didn't, but I wanted to show him I had a life outside him. In the gym lobby, I saw Logan by the smoothie bar, like it was an accident. He asked how my day went. I said HR was overreacting and everyone was making me the bad guy. He said that sounded unfair. He said Ethan was playing victim to make me look cruel. I nodded too fast because I wanted that version to be true. I wanted Ethan to be the villain because then I didn't have to look at myself. When I got home, the kids were in pajamas and the living room was dim. Ethan was at the dining table with his laptop. The screen showed rows and columns, like a spreadsheet, but no title. He clicked it away when I walked in. I asked what he was doing. He said he was organizing bills and schedules. I asked if he was planning to cut me off. He looked at me and said he was planning to protect the kids. I told him he was trying to scare me. He said he was done with games. I went upstairs and shut the bedroom door harder than I needed to. I waited for him to follow. He did not. The house stayed quiet again, and it felt like the quiet was growing teeth. The next week had a strange rhythm. Ethan stopped asking me questions. He stopped trying to fix my mood. He still made lunches for the kids and still showed up for school stuff, but he moved around me like I was a piece of furniture. I told myself he was trying to punish me with silence. I told myself it was cruel. I also told myself I would not beg. Cassidy kept the energy high in our group chat. She said we needed to go to the community fundraiser on Friday because everyone important would be there. She said it would be good for my image after the rooftop bar moment. I liked that word, image. It sounded like control. Ethan did not want to go. At breakfast, he asked if we had to attend. I said yes because it mattered. He asked if I could please not make jokes about him again. I said he was still stuck on one comment and needed to move on. He said it did not feel like one comment to him. I said he was being dramatic and trying to make me feel guilty. He looked down at his coffee and did not answer. On Friday, I dressed like it was a small red carpet. I chose a fitted dress and earrings that caught light when I turned my head. Ethan wore a plain shirt and a jacket. He looked like someone going to work, not to be seen. In the car, he asked if we could leave at a decent hour. I said we would leave when I was ready. He asked why I always said it like that. I said because someone had to lead. The community hall was crowded and warm. People hugged, laughed, and stood in tight circles. There was a donation table and a stage with a microphone. Cassidy waved like she owned the room. She pulled me into photos and said my smile was perfect. Ethan stayed a step behind, quiet and polite. I noticed him watching me. It felt good at first, like he was finally paying attention. Then I realized his eyes were not pleading, they were measuring. I told myself he was looking for ways to blame me later. Cassidy pushed me toward the organizer and said I should do a short speech because I was so relatable. I knew she wanted a moment. I wanted it too. I told the organizer I could say a few words. Ethan heard and asked if I really needed to speak. I said yes because it was for charity and for community, and he should support me for once. When I stepped onto the stage, the lights made everything look soft and unreal. I held the microphone and felt the room turn toward me. I started with safe lines about helping families. Then I slid into what I thought was funny. I said women do so much work, and sometimes we need a strong partner who can keep up. I said some men get tired from basic life and want to go home early. People laughed. I looked toward Ethan. He stood near the back. He did not smile. He did not frown. He just watched. That lack of reaction made me push more. I said, still joking, that some men act like a small comment is an attack, and it is exhausting. More laughter. Cassidy clapped too loud. After the speech, people came up to me and said I was brave and honest. They said it must be hard to carry a marriage alone. I did not correct them. I let them build the story for me because it sounded better than the truth. Ethan did not come to my side. He stayed away from my circle. A man from the neighborhood asked him if he was okay. Ethan said he was fine and he was here to support the fundraiser. The man joked that Ethan should step up. Ethan nodded once and said he heard him. He did not argue. That calm made Ethan look guilty to them, and I liked that. Near the end, I went outside for air. The night was cool. The parking lot lights made people's faces look pale. Logan was there by the side entrance, leaning like he belonged. He said he did not know I would be here. I said it was a community thing and everyone came. He asked if Ethan was still acting cold. I said yes, and it was getting worse. Logan said I should not have to live with someone who shamed me. I said Ethan was the one shaming me by refusing to play along. Logan offered to walk me to my car after the event. I said okay because it felt nice to be chosen. I told myself it was harmless. I told myself Ethan forced me into needing support. When the fundraiser ended, I searched for Ethan. I found him near the exit, already holding his keys. He asked if we could go now. I said I still needed to say goodbye to people. He said he would take the kids home first thing in the morning and needed sleep. I said he always used the kids as an excuse. He asked why I said it like that. I said because it was true. He looked at me for a long second. Then he said he was going home, and I could come with him or find my own ride. I said he was trying to control me again. He said he was setting a boundary. He walked out without raising his voice. That should have made me feel powerful, but it did not. It made me feel like I was losing something I could not name. Logan walked with me to the parking garage. His steps matched mine, calm and steady. He asked if I was okay. I said Ethan was trying to teach me a lesson. Logan said Ethan sounded petty. I agreed too quickly. Logan said I deserved someone who fought for me. That line made my chest feel warm, like a small fire. When I got home, Ethan had left the porch light on, but did not wait up. The house was quiet again. The kids were asleep. The guest room door was shut. I stood in the hallway and listened, hoping for movement, hoping for a fight, hoping for anything. From behind the guest room door, I heard a soft beep, like a phone making a small confirmation sound. Then silence. I told myself it was nothing. I told myself he was just scrolling. Still, the sound stayed in my head as I walked to our bedroom and closed the door. In bed, I opened my phone and looked at the fundraiser clips people posted. In one video, my speech played over laughter. In the background, Ethan stood near the back wall, still and quiet. In the comments, someone wrote that he looked scary because he did not smile. I liked that comment. It helped my story. Then another thought came, sharp and unwanted. If everyone could see him in the video, then everyone could also see me. I turned off my screen and stared into the dark, telling myself I was in control, even as my stomach kept twisting like it did not believe me. The school pickup line felt like a stage I did not ask for, but I still played my part. Cars moved slowly. Parents talked through open windows. I could feel eyes on me, even when no one looked. I told myself I was the strong one. I told myself Ethan was making this harder than it had to be. Noah came out first with his backpack hanging low. Mila followed with her jacket half-zipped. They climbed into the back seat and buckled. Noah asked why Dad did not come today. I said Dad was busy and wanted space. Noah asked if space meant Dad was mad. I said Dad was just stressed and being dramatic. Mila asked if we were still having pizza night. I said yes, because I needed normal too. A mom from Noah's class, Jenna, leaned toward my window and asked if everything was okay at home. She said she saw the fundraiser video and hoped we were fine. I smiled like it was nothing. I told her Ethan just did not like crowds, and sometimes he made things tense. Jenna asked if he was controlling. I said he could be, in small ways, like wanting to leave early and not letting me relax. I watched her face change. She nodded like she understood. That nod felt like proof. On the drive home, Noah went quiet in a way I did not like. He stared out the window too long. I asked if he had homework. He said yes. I asked why he sounded sad. He said nothing. I told him he was fine and he should not copy his dad's mood. I said we were a happy family and he should act like it. At home, Ethan's car was in the driveway. The garage door was open a little, like it had been used recently. I walked inside and smelled soap and clean air, like someone had been trying to reset the house. Ethan was in the kitchen, cutting fruit for the kids. He did not look up right away. He asked how pickup went. I said it was fine, but people were asking questions because he kept acting strange. He asked what I told them. I said I told the truth, that he was being cold and punishing me. He asked why I would tell strangers our problems. I said, because he made it public when he left the rooftop bar and when he ignored me at the fundraiser. He told the kids to wash hands. Noah walked past him without a hug. Mila hugged his leg and then ran to the sink. Ethan watched them like he was taking notes in his head. That look made me uneasy. It was calm, but it felt sharp. I said we needed a family dinner to clear the air. Ethan asked what I meant. I said both families should sit together so everyone could see he was being unfair. He asked if that was really for peace or for pressure. I said he always assumed the worst about me. He said he was not assuming, he was observing. I told him he was acting like a judge. He said he just wanted the kids to stop feeling tension. That evening, we went to a family restaurant with a long table and loud plates. My mother, Diane, arrived early and claimed the best seats. Cassidy was not invited, but my sister Kelsey came because my mother asked her. Ethan's parents came too, Patricia and Gerald, quiet and careful. The kids sat between adults like they were small shields. At first, I acted sweet. I asked everyone about their week. I smiled at Ethan, like we were fine. He did not smile back much. He asked the kids what they wanted to eat. They answered him softly. It bothered me that they still listened to him more than to me. When the drinks came, Diane leaned forward and asked Ethan why he was acting like a baby. Ethan said he was not acting, he was taking space. Diane asked what space meant. Ethan said it meant respect and calm. Diane laughed and said respect was earned, not demanded. I nodded because I liked hearing my mother fight for me. Patricia looked at me and asked, very plain, if I had been faithful. The question landed hard. I felt my face heat up. I asked why she would accuse me. She said she was not accusing, she was asking. I said she never liked me, and she was looking for a reason to blame me. Patricia said she liked me when I acted kind. I said that was a rude thing to say. Ethan told his mother to stop. Patricia said she would stop when the truth was clear. Gerald tried to soften it. He said the kids were right there. Ethan agreed and asked everyone to keep it respectful. I heard the word respectful and felt challenged. I said I had been disrespected for months, and no one cared. Ethan asked what months. I said months of him making me feel unwanted and judged. He asked for an example. I said his silence was an example. Kelsey asked me quietly if we could talk later instead of doing this at dinner. I said no, because it was time for everyone to hear it. Kelsey said the kids looked scared. I looked at Noah and saw his shoulders tense. I told myself he was only tired. I told myself kids forget these things. Diane said Ethan should man up and stop sulking. Ethan did not react. He said he would not argue at a table with children present. Diane said he was hiding because he knew he was wrong. Ethan said he was not hiding, he was choosing peace. I rolled my eyes and said peace was just a fancy word for quitting. Patricia asked again if there was another man. I said she was obsessed and it was embarrassing. Patricia said she had seen changes, like my late nights and my phone, always face down. I said she was making things up. Ethan looked down at his plate, then up at me, like he was checking something inside himself. Noah suddenly asked what divorce meant. His voice was small, but it cut through the noise. Diane stopped talking. Patricia's mouth tightened. Ethan's hand froze near his glass. Ethan asked Noah who said that word. Noah said kids at school joked about it, and he heard it on a phone video comment. My stomach dropped. That meant the fundraiser clip had traveled farther than I told myself. Ethan asked Noah what he thought divorce meant. Noah said it meant he had to pack a bag and go back and forth. He asked if he would still see both of us. Ethan told him, gently, that Noah would always be loved and always be cared for. He said adults would handle adult problems. I wanted to cut in and say everything was fine. I wanted to erase the question. Instead, I said Ethan was scaring the kids by acting like he might leave. Ethan looked at me and asked if I was really blaming him for Noah hearing gossip. I said yes, because he created the gossip by walking out and staying cold. Kelsey's eyes filled a little, and she looked away fast. She asked me to stop talking like that. I said she was being emotional and taking his side. She said she was taking the kids' side. That hurt because it sounded true. We finished the meal in a strained quiet. On the way out, I watched Ethan pay without a word. His movements were slow and controlled. Outside, in the parking lot, Patricia told Ethan she would support him if he did what he needed to do. Ethan told her he would handle it properly. Diane heard that and laughed, saying he could not even handle a joke. In the car ride home, Noah did not talk. Morla fell asleep with her head against the window. Ethan drove with both hands steady on the wheel. I wanted to break the silence. I wanted him to explode so I could point and say, "See, this is why." When we got home, Ethan carried Mila inside. He tucked her in and closed her door softly. Noah went to his room without asking for help. I followed Ethan to the hallway and told him he embarrassed me again by being cold at dinner. He asked why I needed an audience for everything. I said because someone had to keep him accountable. He said he would not be held hostage by my performance. He walked to the guest room and shut the door. A second later, I heard the small click again, like a lock. I stood there in the hallway, telling myself I was still the one with power, even as the house felt divided into parts that no longer belonged to me. I decided we needed a calm talk, but I chose the place because I wanted control. I texted Ethan and said we should meet by the river after work. I wrote it like a peace offer, but in my head it was a test. If he came fast, it meant he still cared. If he refused, I could tell people he abandoned me. He replied late and short. He said he could meet for 20 minutes. He did not add a heart or a soft word. That bothered me, so I made myself late on purpose. I told myself it was fair. He had made me feel small in public, so he could wait. When I arrived, the riverside promenade was busy with walkers and dogs and cyclists. I liked that there were witnesses. I liked that if he got upset, it would not just be my word. Ethan was already there, standing near a bench, hands in his pockets. He did not pace. He looked like he had been waiting in a calm way, which made me feel like my lateness did nothing. He asked why I were late. I said work ran over, and he should understand. He said he understood work, but he did not understand the need to lie. I laughed and asked how he knew I lied. He said he was not guessing anymore. He said he was noticing patterns. I sat on the bench like I owned it. I told him he was being cold on purpose to punish me. He asked what I wanted from him. I said I wanted him to stop acting hurt over a joke. He said it was not only a joke, it was a public message about who he was in my eyes. I said he was making it too deep because he was insecure. He asked if I actually respected him. I said respect follows results, and I had results. I told him I was the one people listened to. He looked out at the water for a moment. He asked if I heard myself. I said yes, and I was proud that I did not whisper. He said the kids heard too, even if they did not understand every word. I said he was using the kids again to win. He said he was using the kids to stay clean and calm because they did not deserve chaos. I leaned forward and lowered my voice like I was being serious. I said a real man would fight for his wife. I said he walked away from the bar like a coward. He asked why I needed him to fight. I said because it showed he valued me. He asked if value had to look like a scene. I said sometimes it did, because people respected strength. He asked if I meant strength or control. I said he was twisting my words. Then I did what I always did when I felt cornered. I hinted at other options. I said people liked me. I said men noticed me. I said I could have fun if I wanted. I watched his face for pain. I wanted it. I wanted proof that I still mattered. Ethan's jaw tightened once, but he did not raise his voice. He asked if I was threatening him. I said no, I was just being honest. He said honesty without care was still cruelty. I rolled my eyes and said he was dramatic again. He stood up slowly. He brushed invisible dust off his sleeve, like he had time. He said he would not argue in public, and he would not trade insults. He said he had tried talking, and I had turned it into a show. I said he was blaming me for his weak feelings. He said he was done with games. I told him he was bluffing. I said he would cool off and come home like always. He looked at me and spoke in the most calm voice I had heard from him in months. He said he would handle things properly from now on. He did not say it like a threat. He said it like a plan. I laughed, because if I laughed, I could pretend I was not scared. I asked what that even meant. He said it meant structure, rules, and protection for the kids. He said it meant no more late-night talks, no more public speeches, no more back-and-forth fights. I said he was trying to control me with rules. He said he was creating boundaries because I did not respect any. He walked away from the bench. He did not touch me. He did not block my path. He just left, steady and lawful, like he was stepping out of a storm and closing a door behind him. I sat there too long, watching families pass. A little boy ran ahead of his father, laughing. The father followed, smiling. I felt a sharp sting in my throat, but I swallowed it and told myself it was nothing. I told myself Ethan was trying to scare me into behaving. I told myself he could not actually do anything. On the way home, I stopped at the supermarket because we needed basics and because I wanted to feel normal. I pushed the cart fast, like speed could push away thought. At checkout, I loaded groceries and tapped my card with a confident motion. The screen beeped and flashed a message. Declined. I froze for half a second, then forced a laugh. I told the cashier the machine was acting up. I tried again. It worked the second time, but the first decline stayed in my mind like a bruise. I told myself it was a glitch. I told myself Ethan could not cut me off. He would never dare. As I walked out, I saw Ethan across the parking lot, near his car, holding a small folder under his arm. Not papers in the open, not something I could read, just a plain folder like any adult could carry. He did not look at me. His phone buzzed, and I caught the sound and a small glimpse of the screen as he tilted it away. The label read like a reminder, something blunt and practical. It looked like paper drop. He put the phone away and drove off without turning his head. At home, the kids were already in pajamas. Noah sat at the table doing homework with a serious face. Mila colored quietly. Ethan was in the kitchen rinsing dishes. There was no fight, no scene, no demand. The quiet felt organized now, like it had a spine. I tried to act casual. I asked Ethan if he could talk later. He said he could talk about the kids' schedule, nothing else. I asked why he was being like this. He said because I kept pushing until something broke, and now he was stopping the break from spreading. I wanted to scream that he was overreacting. I wanted to tell him he was not man enough to follow through. But the word stuck, because I remembered how fast he left the rooftop bar. 5 minutes, like he had been waiting for permission. That night, when he went to the guest room, I noticed his keys again. There was a new key on the ring, shiny and unused looking. He set it on the dresser with care, like it belonged to a new system. I watched him close the door, and I realized I had no idea where that key went. I walked into my office tower like it was any other Monday. I held my coffee high and smiled at the security desk. I told myself I looked normal. I told myself Ethan's properly line was just a mood. In the lobby, a man in a plain jacket stepped into my path. He asked if I was Araminta Doyle. I said yes and asked who he was. He said he needed to confirm my name, then handed me an envelope. I said I did not accept random papers. He said it was not random and I could refuse to sign, but service would still count. My hands got cold. I opened it right there because my pride would not let me wait. The first page had our names. The word divorce sat in the center like a stamp. There were also temporary requests about money and the kids, written in calm language that made me feel ugly. A few co-workers walked through the lobby and slowed down. I tried to laugh and said it was a mistake. The server asked if I needed a pen. I said no, too fast. Upstairs, HR called me in again. They said my online posts and public comments were now part of a formal complaint, and I needed to stop contact outside a set process. I looked down at the envelope and saw a list of exhibits, screenshots, dates, and witness names from the fundraiser and the restaurant. I called Ethan. It went to a message that said he would respond only through the co-parenting app. I stood there with the papers shaking in my hands, and for the first time I understood he was not playing.